I'm Dana Jacobson from CBS Saturday Morning. Welcome to The Dish. Through food, we forge connections, make memories, and keep traditions alive. Today, we explore family recipes from renowned kitchens across the country. We get an authentic taste of chorizo in an unexpected place, Idaho, full of flavor inspired by Spain's Basque country. And we visit a fourth-generation family-run pasta shop to sample house-made fettuccine in a sun-dried tomato pesto sauce. But first, we dig into a new spin on a comfort classic, mac and custard-style pimento cheese. Chef Ashley Christensen's culinary creations are rooted in her North Carolina upbringing, which is at the heart of her 6 successful Raleigh restaurants. Jamie Wax takes a bite out of her Southern food, cooked up with family in mind.
After working in the kitchens of some of the world's finest chefs, this is where Chef Ashley Christensen's own vision first became fully realized. The reimagining of a beloved downtown diner called Pools in the place she loves most, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Ashley, when I look around this space, it's amazing to me what you did to elevate a Southern diner, but also what you did to preserve the integrity of it.
I think of it less as elevating and more of celebrating.
Celebrating.
The bones of this place and its history. And I've said it over and over again about this set of walls, just that there are so many great ghosts here and so many long-standing relationships with this place long before I ever arrived.
Christensen's love of long-standing relationships is evident in her 6 incredibly diverse Raleigh establishments, from Beasley's Chicken and Honey to Poolside Pies, the Neapolitan-inspired gourmet pizza joint with a huge wood-fired oven as its centerpiece, and a clever swimming pool theme throughout.
The idea of playing off of the name Pools next door and calling it Poolside, and Pools, of course, is spelled P-O-O-L-E.
No matter how different the menu, each of her restaurants reflects the care, comfort, and community that are central to Ashley Christensen's cooking, values shared by her wife and culinary partner, Caitlin Golan.
I grew up in Los Angeles in a family that loved food. The adults would just spend like several hours in the kitchen. The labor of food was never felt like work. It was always part of the time together, the fellowship together.
My background really begins with my parents and their love for food as non-professional cooks, as home cooks.
The DNA of Christensen's cooking comes from both parents. Her mother traveled as an Air Force brat, and her father was a truck driver who came home from every trip excited to share the new recipes he had experienced on his travels.
Dad would come home, and the way that he would share with us to make up for time he was away was to cook dishes that he experienced on the road.
Food has always brought Ashley and Kate together, not only in life, but also in business. Their unique cookbook, It's Always Freezer Season, is their latest collaboration.
This book was so fun to write because there were so many stories and relationships that we got to pay homage to. We love the food in this book. We're not sick of it yet.
The idea of this book is to treat the freezer more like a pantry, a perfect concept for a newly prolific crop of pandemic home cooks.
I love that you call the freezer the most underutilized appliance in the kitchen, which is really true, right?
Yeah, I mean, for us, the freezer took on much more of a preservation aspect than simply a chilling device, which is, I think, sort of where you start, right? But really what it is in our minds is this storage space for preserving the life of food that we have either already made or that we, want to make.
And from their freezer come global recipes with a Southern flair that include carnitas, cornbread panzanella with watermelon, a creamy, citrusy, salty dog pie, and mac and cheese with a twist. Pimento cheese, something most Southerners know well.
I have to say this custard-style mac and cheese with a little hit of pimento cheese in it is absolutely unbelievable.
Awesome.
So delicious.
Awesome. My mother will be so excited.
When people talk about pimento cheese, I think they think of these store-bought tubs of something that's very sort of gelatinous and slimy, which tastes good on its own, but it's nothing like this.
My pimento cheese is inspired by my great godmother, who is from Chillicothe, Ohio, and made a very different pimento cheese than I had ever eaten in the South. And so this is meant to be the pimento cheese for people who did not know they liked pimento cheese. We call it a convert dish.
Oh boy.
The two have become a true North Carolina power couple. In early 2020, the pair wed in an elaborate but deeply personal ceremony.
The two of you had the coolest wedding I've ever seen in my life.
We have some really beautiful friendships with local musicians who have gone into the national world and done really fun things and sharing their energy.
The wedding was not only covered by Vogue magazine, but also featured Carolina music royalty like Justin Vernon of Bon Iver and another special guest.
Bruce.
Bruce Hornsby.
Bruce Hornsby.
This is a total surprise, and she almost fell over.
And as soon as I saw him, I don't know if I've ever been so speechless.
But there was someone there who meant even more than all the celebrities. Her father.
I lost my father, but he has been always a huge part of inspiring both my confidence and my love for food.
You named your bar for your father.
Yeah, so my dad's nickname is Fox, and we have a bar called Fox.
That focus on the personal has garnered Christensen multiple James Beard Awards, as well as a reputation as a champion for women in every level of the restaurant industry. It also might be why, even though Ashley Christensen has all the world to choose from, she chooses to bloom where she's planted.
You keep 6 excellent places in a town that you love, and just keep getting better.
Well, at some point we realized that this should be about not needing more spaces or places, but making sure that each of those evolve and not viewing change as failure, but exciting evolution.
Ahead, we meet an Idaho chef keeping family traditions alive by sharing the flavors of his childhood. That story's next. Spain's autonomous Basque country is known for bold flavors, including their signature chorizo, which inspired the dining destination Ansatz in Boise, Idaho. Jeff Glore heads into the kitchen for a history lesson and a taste with 2 generations keeping strong ties to their culture.
Here we go. But.
Ever since the first Basque migrants crossed the Atlantic and arrived here in the late 1800s to work the sheep trade, the traditions of food, music, and culture have been kept alive. At the center of that community today is Dan Ansadeghi, his accordion, and his authentic cuisine, most especially his chorizo.
What do we do?
Well, we've started off here with our pork shoulder, and we've added some back fat. We want to get about that 65% lean to 35% fat.
In violation of the age-old saying, Ansadeghi showed us exactly how the sausage is made.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our whole garlic, paprika, a little bit of Aleppo pepper, and salt. As that's going, this is just white wine.
Nice.
So we're getting some moisture here. And then this is the chorizo pepper sauce. This is what makes a chorizo for Spanish and Basque people.
Smells good.
We're halfway there.
Then in came the stuffing machine.
We're just kind of bringing this up, and we're going to just add it right in there. We want to make sure we don't have any air pockets. Then what we're doing is we're basically putting this entire amount on there. So now the next thing we're going to do is rather fun. You're just going to go ahead and rotate at a comfortable speed, and it'll just start coming out.
Wow.
And we want a little bit of resistance, not much, just a tiny bit.
How's my speed?
It's just fine. So here we go, and we just measure it like this, and we just kind of pinch it here and turn it.
Okay.
And it gives us our length. Then the next one, we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to go the opposite way.
Oh, okay.
Ansadeghi still makes his chorizo the same way his grandma Epi did, from a recipe passed down over the generations.
She was in command in the kitchen. She started as a seamstress, came over as a very young lady, married my grandfather, and had to learn how to cook really quick.
Ansotegi eventually traveled to Basque Country to learn more and has run 3 restaurants in Boise. The latest is called Ansats.
My cooking came out of that desire to eat well and to have those flavors that I remembered growing up.
How did Boise become such a bastion for Basque culture?
So there's a little bit of the history is a little bit like the Irish in the sense that poverty drove the Irish and poverty drove Basque people to leave.
But why Boise?
Boise happened to be the largest town in the area, had the most boarding houses, so the most Basque people came here. And so when they finished herding, they often stayed in those towns where they were getting used to and getting to know people.
A Basque festival of food and arts called High Aldi is held every 5 years in Boise, bringing in 30,000 people from around the world. And the city's sites include a Basque museum and multiple restaurants and shops. In 2019, Ansotegi was named a Cultural Heritage Fellow by the National Endowment for the Arts. Ansats has grown from its initial vision as a catering operation, pushed along by Dan's daughter, Ellie.
What has this place been like for you?
It's been super interesting just because we started during COVID. So it was kind of just like constant fear of if we would make it or not. It was my first like real profession because before I've always worked at restaurants, worked at my aunt's restaurant, but I was like the busser girl. And so now I had to take on leadership.
For the Ansotegis, the family business goes beyond making traditional Basque food to making traditional Basque music.
What is it about the accordion?
Nobody really knows if you're doing it right. It's kind of, they're like, I think that's pretty good. I don't know. That's it, that's all we know.
When it was finally time to eat, the table was stuffed. A charcuterie board.
It's difficult to find much charcuterie in the Basque Country. Charcuterie really, we see that in other parts of Europe, especially Italy, but I love charcuterie. However, I don't like a lot of the Italian spices, so what I wanted to do was take charcuterie but present it with Basque flavors.
Calamari that was plump and extra meaty, a BLT and egg sandwich, and the chorizo.
This is the one that we patterned. We're on recipe number 19 right now. And
Recipe 19?
Yeah, because we were trying our very best to get to Grandma Epi's chorizo.
Casing is a little bit crispy.
And that comes partially from the time that it hangs.
I mistakenly called it a sausage earlier.
But it is.
It is.
A chorizo is a sausage.
Okay, so I can say that.
Sure.
Also, mixed croquetas, eggs in purgatory, paella with sausage, clams, mussels, and chicken, a burnt Basque cheesecake, and a sugary caramelized croissant called Queen Amman.
So it's hopefully I did it correctly.
It's dense.
But I've also never been trained, so I kind of just throw things in the oven and be like, I hope it worked.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Or hope it works.
Hope it does okay.
Why is it so important for you to keep Basque culture alive in Boise?
I don't know how often I actually think about something like that. Food makes me happy. I get to try things and flavors and it's just like, okay, that's really going somewhere. And so when we're doing things that make us happy and make other people happy, I feel like we're going the right direction.
Up next, a family-owned pasta shop behind many of New York City's Italian restaurants. You're watching The Dish. One of the oldest pasta shops in the country, Raffetto's, opened its doors in 1906. They supply some of the top restaurants in New York City with their house-made pasta, and they ship nationwide. Nancy Chen sits down with the father-daughter duo behind the fourth-generation family business.
Gnocchi alla Romana, which comes from a recipe in Rome, is actually like a porridge, almost like polenta.
Stepping into the kitchen at Raffetto's is like taking a step back in time.
When this starts to stiffen up, you got to really work it.
The recipes, the dishes, even the equipment go back more than a century.
And you literally just turn it on.
What do you think about when you use this?
To think that my great-grandfather was standing here touching the same mechanisms all the way back to 1920. That is just so fascinating to me.
The patriarch of the family, Marcello Raffetto, opened the store in 1906. And in 1919, he bought the building, where it still stands today. In 1972, Romana, Marcello's daughter-in-law, known as Nona, ran the business until she died in 2018.
What do you think that your grandfather would say if he walked in and saw this shop still running right now 4 generations later?
Wow.
I would imagine you'd have tremendous pride that, his genetic code kept thriving in the same way he made a living.
Father-daughter duo Andrew and Sarah are the 3rd and 4th generations of Raffettos, preserving Italian-American tradition at this pasta shop.
Did you feel pressure to get in the business?
I actually did not at all. I knew with conviction that this was what I wanted to do, not because I was guilted or needed.
Every day in store, they make 15 pots of sauces, 10 pans of their best-selling lasagna, and dozens of prepared meals. And if you've eaten Italian food in New York City, well, chances are you've had their pasta. They supply more than 300 restaurants, including some of the best known in the city.
Is this like the hidden secret to good pasta in the city, is that it actually comes back to here? It's from here?
I would agree with that, yeah. Because so many people don't admit it, but it's from here.
They whipped up some of their favorites for us, like egg and spinach fettuccine with a sun-dried tomato pesto sauce.
This is really such a special sauce that I want more people to be aware of.
Oh, I could eat this all day.
Their gnocchi is a Roman dish made without potatoes, cut into squares, and topped with rosemary oil. And for dessert, a coffee-less pistachio tiramisu.
It's so light, yet flavorful at the same time. Did you learn something new about Sarah now that you guys work together so closely?
I learned that she could handle plenty and almost welcomes it. Just a tough, ready to do it all.
You must be very proud.
Oh, absolutely. Getting choked up.
Now Sarah is throwing open the doors to Raffetto's in a new way. After hours.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Raffetto, and you're at Raffetto's Fresh Pasta.
Partnering with cook and food blogger Emily Fedner,
mash it up, serve it with olive oil and onions. It's like a Russian baba ganoush.
She's launched a popular monthly dinner series, calling it Petite Pasta Joint.
Petite Pasta Joint is Sarah and I's love child. It's a representation of our friendship. It's a representation of her Nana, my babushka. It's a representation of history.
They shop for farm-fresh ingredients.
Perfect.
And prepare the 7-course meal themselves.
This dinner that we're having tonight sold out in 3 minutes after we released tickets.
Bringing together 24 diners for a cozy family-style meal.
We're really interactive. We explain every course, and it is a special experience with food that means something to us, that is unique.
The menu often changes, with one exception, their signature dish, raviolo al uovo, an egg yolk-filled pasta topped with a brown miso butter sauce.
Do you feel like you're taking your family's store into the next chapter with this?
With my own flair, because it's all of our responsibilities as the new generations to contribute something. So that makes me feel very special and very proud that I'm able to bring this to the family.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news 24/7, stream us right here on CBS News. I'm Dana Jacobson. We'll see you next time for another helping of The Dish.